Well, you know, we have been discussing so much in the last couple of weeks. The David Zaslav bloodbath is continuing. Warner Discovery, I mean, they're taking no prisoners at this point. How much have we seen the cancellation? This past week, we had videos on the SAG Awards, no longer going to air on TNT and TBS. We see the possibilities of several shows going away, including American Dad. The Last OG has been canceled, and many others. Could Snowpiercer be on that list? Could be a couple of other things. What's going to happen with TNT, TBS? And most of all, the biggest question mark right now, what is happening to the CW? Because basically the cancellations are coming, and what's coming out just now this past week is a massive cutthroat in programming to the CW. And most of all, and I said this in the last video, is rest in peace, Arrowverse. And I said that it's one more to go to that situation of the cancellation of what needed to go. And it's been announced. And that is the TV series Naomi. Naomi will not be returning for season 2 at the CW. So that puts us in a perspective that there are only 3 shows left, which is Flash, Stargirl, and Superman Lois. But let's read off what Deadline had to say about this. Ava DuVernay's superhero drama Naomi will not be back for a second season on the CW. Just 2 days after Casey Windfall led the DC series wrap up its often preempted first season, DuVernay and Jill Blankenship penned 2-hour finale for the sale of the CW, pulling the plug on Thursday. With that, we hear the Array Filmworks and Warner Brothers TV produced show is talking to other outlets about continuing Naomi's tale on a streaming or higher up dial, which I don't expect that to happen. The move by Mark Pelada's run CW is not totally unexpected. While the garnering a lot of critical acclaim, oh man, Naomi was a constant battle to find an audience. It never found an audience. It just found a small group of people, especially online. The show suffered several preemptives since its January 11 debut, including for the Beijing Olympics. Don't blame the Olympics. And for the consecutive weeks in March, it had noted because Hollywood, the proposed sale of the CW had to play a role in the lack of Naomi's renewal. Yeah, that is part of it is on there, but don't blame the Beijing Olympics because most people weren't watching the Olympics. So that's not an issue. Additionally, Naomi is the third of the DC series to be cut by the once Arrowverse rich CW in recent weeks, followed by Javier Leslie's led Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow. Based on the 2019 premiere comic series co-written by Brian Michael Bendis and David Walker and the illustrated breakout artist Jamil Campbell, Naomi follows a Superman-obsessed teenage girl journey from her small northwestern town to the heights of the multiverse with a supernatural event that shook her community. Naomi set out to uncover the origins of what she discovered and challenge everything we believe about our heroes and believe who raised them. Blankenship and DuVernay partially wrote and executive produced Naomi, which also starred Alexander Wraith, Cranston Johnson, and Camila Moreno. The series was produced by DuVernay, Array Filmworks in association with Warner Brothers Television, and Sarah Vermeer and Paul Garns also serving at the EP. Now, understand this. And when you go to look at their ratings, and this is why they're not going to find someone looking on this. You know, the major thing, let me put it in this perspective before we go any further on this. The major thing is you have to remember one thing. And this has been said by several other people. The one thing about the Naomi series is it's not the greatest written comic. It had some good dialogue in the comic, but unless you knew Brian Michael Bendis very well, or you're a fan of Brian Michael Bendis, you never caught on to the series. I mean, it didn't have a big fan base to begin with. I've said, you have to bring more of the shelved superheroes to the forefront, but you got to write them correctly. You have to be able to bring them correctly. And the one thing the CW did is they didn't bring it correctly. There were ways that this could have been tested and seen that if it would work or not, and they didn't do it. See, the reason why Stargirl did what it did season 1, because it was kept away from the CW. It was online. People saw it. And then finally, when it was brought into the CW, you saw season 2 was a little bit faltered. Now, is the next season going to be stronger? We hope so. But we don't know the situation at this time. What is going on? Is it going to be the last season? Has it been canceled? We do not know. But, also, when you look at the ratings on it from when it started, I mean, you had a 0.8 in starting. That's a key demo of 0.14. The season finale was 0.428, 0.6 in the key demo. Nobody was really watching this series. Nobody. Very small groups of people on there were watching this show, and it's just it's a ratings failure. Why would another network look at to get it? I mean, it would be foolish for another network or anyone else online to grab this show. The only thing to do is let it rest in peace. If you want to reincarnate it somehow on there, you got to do it differently. You can't be doing it the way you did it. Maybe you might want to bring Bendis in on it. Maybe you might be able to help with this to clean it up. But, what you had here was a woke TV show. You had inclusion, equity. You had all the check marks checked in the boxes. This is what's happening constant. This is why all these shows are being canceled. This is the average range of TV series on the CW network. And some of them even lower down into the 200s, the 100s range. I mean, you have a TV series, which is a game show series, the remake of Hidden of Lost Temple. Nobody watched. Sunday night, and nobody watched. When you try to blame it on Corona, you try to blame it on sports, Olympics, award ceremonies, look at their ratings. Their ratings are low. If their ratings are low, that means, and your ratings are low, that means, your show is not working. You understand? If people weren't watching the award ceremonies, they should have switched over to you. If your show was the show that was presented to be a good show, but it wasn't. It wasn't a good show at all. All it was just basically politics, as a lot of the other shows have become on this network. So we'll see what happens with Superman and Lois, which they're pretty much safe at this time, but I expect them to move to HBO Max. Stargirl can go either way, and I expect Flash has one more season in it, if they don't cancel it by the end of this season, because a lot of the fans are not liking this season at all.